All right, guys, welcome into the Easter Prize Picks and Underdog video. And I say that because we have some big edges on both slates today, or on both sites today. So I'm excited to get into it. So yesterday I did a live stream because we had some really nice edges for golf, really. And it seemed like, we didn't know which site it was. There's just big discrepancies on Underdog and Prize Picks. Right now, it seems like the Prize Picks props are going to hit. So I know a majority of the people that watch these videos are primarily Prize Picks videos. So I'm assuming you guys had a good day. I did get a screenshot from someone yesterday saying that they were able to get 6 for 6 with the NBA props that I mentioned. And it's funny because the tough part about NBA DFS right now is the board just being fully populated. I'm giving advice for future props that were not made available. And so it was nice to see someone be able to apply that to be able to get 6 for 6. And so with that, I'm going to do somewhat of that as well today, but I did notice some discrepancies between Underdog and Prize Picks today. So we might have an edge there as well. So I'm actually surprised right now, MLB wise, we're not getting that many great props. I thought just given the nature of today, Sunday with the Masters, a lot of NBA games going on, that we begin some more free squares across the board, but it's actually a tight board as it sits right now. I could see this changing throughout the day, but right now it's just not, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, nothing really for MLB wise. If you guys think you have any like really strong MLB props, let us know in the comment section below. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to NHL. So NHL wise, we are getting one really good prop, minus 141 for over 2.5 shots on goal here. If you are someone that just, bets the number each time, when we are getting favorable odds, that is going to be a good prop for you. So one kind of really awesome bet for NHL. Now I do want to touch on just real quickly a PGA prop as well. And then we're going to be doing a deep dive into NBA today because I think there are some edges there. So we are getting another price discrepancy for Brooks Koepka. On Prize Picks, they have his final score set at 71.5. Oh, they just took this off. All right. Darn it. Interesting there. So we might be seeing some line movement. I was going to say this could be another situation in which we are betting lower on Prize Picks and over on Underdog. But now we're doing a wait and see approach. It looks like Underdog might be reassessing how the final round is going to play right now. So just be on the lookout for that. There is a big opportunity to compare between Prize Picks and Underdog. I just want to call that out because we have seen some big discrepancies. That's why on Prize Picks, it's going to be a pretty good day from yesterday, it seems like, because the course played easier than really expected. Now let's get into NBA because I feel like we are getting some big edges there. And so don't get me wrong, like this tool is still very awesome for today and we should be using it for NBA. But at the same time, there's a lot more like human thought process that goes into it, a lot of situational analysis that goes into really the slate today. And I'm very excited for the slate as a whole. DFS wise, I put out a video for Occupy Fantasy that's just, it's a big slate. I hope people take advantage of it because preseason NFL DFS is like the easiest edge that you get. And I think late season NBA DFS is like second there because not many people are able to put like data into it. They're not able to enter like via data. And so to me, it's a big edge. And so I think that's kind of going to be the same situation for Prize Picks. Now, obviously they can adjust their lines throughout the day, whereas, FanDuel and DraftKings, they can't change their salaries once they're out. But looking at it, we are already seeing some like discrepancies for the sports books, just a lot of them. So like Johnny Davis, points and assists, we're getting a half a point edge there, fair to minus 120. Sangoon as well, very interesting there, half of a point and assist there. So we are getting some interesting props already there. Let's look at underbets that are not matching up. Kind of same thing. We are getting some very interesting ones there. Let's see here. Brandon Ingram. And is he going to get a full allotment of minutes? We don't know. But we can see it's basically a push at 40. Prize Picks has the line set at 40.5. So some interesting lines there. But I want to get into kind of the situational analysis of today's slate. And so, yes, half the games today are going to be at 12. The next are going to be at 2:30. We have a lot of players out as well. So if you guys are coming in watching this video, you might have to skip over the noon games. But also, I think you could apply this to NBA second half as well. Props if we get it. So it could be useful there as well. I do want to call out an interesting play for Mitchell Robinson. So look at his fantasy score, 27.5. Then if you look at his points, rebounds, and assists, 18.5. That's a big difference there. He is someone that is definitely interesting today, though. So the biggest issue with Mitchell Robinson really this whole season has been the minute. The last 2 games, he's been able to get minutes, 30 and 26. The interesting thing with the Pacers today is that they're pretty banged up. And Mitchell Robinson literally just went off against them. Now, he got 7 blocks and 2 steals. That's why the big difference is there. I think he can get there in points, rebounds, and assists, though, today. Because if we look at the Pacers, let's look at their injuries. They are so banged up. So if Jalen Smith and Isaiah Jackson doesn't play, that leaves old man James Johnson and Daniel Tice to get minutes. and maybe Miles Turner. Like, I'm assuming that these three are going to sit. We don't know that for sure. Obviously, that could change the play of Mitchell Robinson. But if they do sit, it's going to be tough to imagine Mitchell Robinson not having a good day points, rebounds, and assists wise. And we can see the last 3 games in which he's kind of fallen into a bigger usage role with Jalen Brunson off the court and with Julius Randle off the court. I could see that happening again. But once again, like, RJ Barrett's expected to play, so I don't think we can touch Obi. Let's move on into kind of Charlotte. So Charlotte is definitely interesting there as well for me. I think Svi is still a little bit too low. The worry with him is the minutes for sure. But he has been someone that's been productive. Like, this is too low, but it does seem like if we compare like the fantasy scores here, 28.5 here, like that definitely seems too low. And then we are getting like 0.5 here as well on Underdog. So like maybe lower on Underdog if you want to like kind of game the game, but this seems too low. And I don't know if it's because the matchup with Cleveland typically has been a more difficult matchup for guards, or if they know something we don't minutes wise. Like maybe Dennis Smith Jr. is going to play, because that's kind of what the prop line is telling me. But if he doesn't, like, Svi is just too low. He had 5 turnovers in the last game and was still able to get over his fantasy points. The game against the Bulls was the game that he didn't get the over, and they just got blown out. Going against, I'm assuming, the Cleveland backups, he should be able to get there. And that's kind of the biggest question mark, is will they be going against the Cleveland backups? Right now, Evan Mobley is not questionable, but why would he play? Jared Allen, currently questionable, but why would he play? And obviously, if those two are out, that does just make scoring in general in that game a little bit easier. And so then he'd be a decent prop as well. Remember, we used him in the free golf square that we got, and then on Underdog 2 days ago, and he was able to hit there. A little bit of a sweat. I didn't know if he was going to get the final rotation, and then he did, and then he was able to easily hit that at that point. Some people were asking about Bryce the other day. I don't know. I worry about his minutes as well, but if Dennis Smith Jr. is out, like, probably a decent one there as well. But let's see, anything confirmed yet? No, nothing yet. But yeah, if he sits, then I really wish we were getting some Theo props. He's been going off. The minutes are so heavily there. I wish we were getting those ones as well. But let's touch on some ones that we are getting. So we do know that it seems like Kevin Porter might sit. I don't really get why we're not getting a prop for him, but the Rockets have been getting some heavy minutes, and so I do think we have the potential for a little bit of a game stack here, like over for Green, over for Sengun, over for Johnny Davis. Like, I'd be fine with that. A little small game stack. The thing with Jordan Goodwin here, this is very interesting. They don't seem to want to give him minutes. I think we could actually bet the under there because for some reason Washington isn't giving him minutes. And so if we look at it, like, look at the last few games, 20, 29, 28, they just haven't wanted to give him minutes. And they've actually been defaulting to like giving Jackson some run, and so maybe he gets still some more run. Then they've been defaulting to giving Johnny Davis like a ton of run. So I would say if Johnny Davis goes over, then Jordan Goodwin is going to struggle to get the over there. So another kind of game theory prop that we could do there. But now the ones that really kind of stood out to me were these two for Philly. Jalen McDaniels had a ton of minutes in the last game, and I kind of expect that to continue. And if it does continue today, he should easily be able to get over 31.5 fantasy points or points, rebounds, and assists. It's really up to you guys what you want to do. We look at the last game. He played a ton of minutes, 44 minutes. And I don't see that changing. Like, yes, it could change. This is the biggest issue with this part of the season, is predicting the minutes. But like, if he gets 38 minutes, he should easily be able to crush this over. It's going to be tough for him not to crush this over. And if we look at the Brooklyn side of the basketball, they're most likely going to be without their starters. It doesn't make sense for them to play their starters. So that should just make it easier for him as well. We do know for sure that Tobias Harris is going to be out for Philly as well. That was kind of a question mark in the last game. And so with that, I do expect him to be able to dominate. And we aren't getting a fantasy score here for McDaniels, but like 25 points, rebounds, and assists, I also think he should be able to get that over there as well. Good prop on Underdog and PrizePicks, but also Milton here as well. We have seen him step up into this role into the past where they were forced to give him a ton of minutes, and he just produced in that. Like, he had 43 minutes as well. I kind of expect those minutes to be there for those two. We are betting on the minutes to be there. Yes, that's risk or reward based, but it's a bet I'm willing to take, because if they are there, these two should easily be able to crush their overs. And if you want to do points, rebounds, and assists instead, I am fine with that. Like, both of them make sense in that regard. Like, honestly, this prop for assists seems too low for him as well, but I would rather just do points, rebounds, and assists, because that doesn't seem too high there as well. Like, I expect him to get the over there. I do want to call this out, 33.5 on Underdog, whereas PrizePicks, we're getting a full point difference there. So if you are betting on fantasy score, it makes more sense to do it here. I do expect him to get the over, but we would want to do it here. So like, the bet of the day is going to be a little bit different today because, well, obviously the opportunities presented itself more on FanDuel. Another player that, like, just looking at fantasy score wise, like, Jaden Ivey should be able to get the over. And I also want to call these two as well. Hunter and Yuka Ogonku. We don't exactly know the minutes just yet. Still got about an hour and a half before lock. DeAndre Hunter is currently questionable, but with how banged up the Hawks are, and it is like difficult because like if he gets a little bit injured, like he's probably not going to play at all. But Hunter would be interesting. Currently questionable. If he gets 39 minutes or so, like it's going to be tough for him not to hit value. Now he has struggled recently, so that's the worry. But Anika is going to be forced into a lot of minutes, it seems like. Like he's projected like 26, but he could easily get 30 today and should be able to crush then his over as well. But I would say those are more risky. Like if we had some Boston props, we'd want to use it with that. Individually, I don't think they're the best. But talking about Jaden Ivey here. Jaden Ivey is another one of those players where he has just been getting so many minutes. Like look at the minutes, 42, 43, 37, 31, and 47. He's projected to get like 38 today. And so if he continues to get those minutes, and if Chicago, this is a big if they do sit their starters, which it kind of seems like they will, then Jaden Ivey is definitely appealing there, whether that be fantasy score or just points, rebounds, and assists. And it's not much here, but we are seeing a smaller fantasy score total on Underdog than we are on PrizePicks as well. So slight edge there, 0.5 difference. That does add up. And so like that's kind of it for like the really good props that we are currently getting in terms of fantasy score. But it does seem like more are going to be made available. I do feel like they are pricing up Chris Dunn enough now tonight. Still, maybe there's an edge there. I don't particularly love it. And then right now for Phoenix, they're giving us props. I'm probably staying away from those ones. And honestly, kind of like, I don't really love any of these other ones too much. Like the biggest ones that we were getting are, it seems like Jaden McDaniels and Jaden Ivey. And then also Milton. Like these two are the best two on the slate. And then we could also pair it with Spy. I don't mind that. But real quickly, in case we do get these props, I do just want to give you guys this information. So for Boston, to me, it doesn't make sense for Tatum to play. And then White, why would he play a lot of minutes? Smart, probably not going to play. Like they're going to be pretty banged up. So like Sam Hauser is someone I would expect to get a lot of minutes if those players are out. So we could definitely play him. And then also like Peyton Pritchard, like we might get a prop for him as well. He'd be an interesting player. Like if he does get increased run today with those players being, inactive or not getting a lot of minutes, definitely interesting there. If Chicago does choose to sit their starters, like Kobe White and Patrick Williams would be interesting players that would get a bump. For Orlando, we need to get news on this, but if Bol starts, he's interesting for the over. If he doesn't start, like his under would be interesting, I would say. Once again, like we don't have these props. I'm just trying to give you guys information if it does come out. Goga, like I expect him to get right around 25 minutes, so maybe we get a good prop for him. For Theo, I already mentioned he has been someone that's been getting a lot of run. I hope we get a prop for him, but like I get the sense they don't know how to prop him. It'd probably be something like Jaden Ivey, which honestly I'd probably be fine with betting the over because he's been getting some steals. The issue with him is a little bit too many turnovers for fantasy score, so you'd probably want to do points, rebounds, and assists there. For Cleveland, I kind of hope that we get a Isaiah Mobley prop, but that would only be dependent on if Evan Mobley and Jared Allen sit. Once again, they don't give us the easy ones, right? They just don't because they don't know how to prop them. For Milwaukee, I really hope we get some props here because Lindell really went off. He had 41 minutes. He's someone DFS-wise I really like, but it'd be weird for them not to give us a single Milwaukee prop, and so I would think he would still get the minutes. He literally came up from the G League and chucked the ball 20 times and just went off. I think he could be a strong price point play. And then Beauchamp, maybe we're looking at like fantasy score. He's someone that had a really good game, and I do expect the minutes to be there for him. It just makes sense in a game in which the Bucks don't need to play anyone. Play your backers, play your young guys. Beauchamp would be the player then in that regard. For Washington, they're going to be forced to give Jay Huff a little bit more run today. I'm expecting him to get right around 30. He had 23 in the last game, and that was with Daniel Gafford. So definitely an interesting kind of price point, not price point play, but interesting PrizePicks prop if we get it. Like not exactly been dominating rebound wise. I think we'd be more or less looking at probably like fantasy score because we can see on DraftKings has been having some good run there. And then Brooklyn as well. Sharp is expected to get a lot of run today. So if we get a prop for him, I would imagine it'd be lower than it should be because he's expected to get 26 minutes. That is if Nick Claxton does sit or is limited minutes wise. And then Cam Thomas as well, kind of expecting him to get right around 26 to 30 minutes as well because it does seem like Brooklyn's going to be sitting some of their players. For Memphis, a lot of people are expecting Kenneth Lofton. He's pretty chalk right now in DFS, but I kind of expect us to get a prop for him, so could be a very interesting play there as well. But that's kind of it. Those are some of the props that I hope we get throughout the day. It's kind of a wait and see though. So this is kind of like what it'd be looking like for the bet of the day on PrizePicks, but I do think it's better for Underdog today because for example purposes, like we saw Melton in terms of like fantasy score, it's a better bet on Underdog. Okay. Mitchell Robinson, we're more or less just betting on the Pacers bigs being out and then his minutes being there. It's a big kind of risk reward there. So, this is probably a little bit too risky, but like in terms of like a bigger stack, I'd be fine with it, I guess. But just want to kind of make that clear. It's risk reward there. Jaden Ivey, I'm fine with. I expect him to continue to get minutes. Jalen Green I'm fine with that as well. But like, let's just say like we're really looking for like heavy minutes props. Like we'd be rolling with these 3. But for like Milton, we'd probably do points, rebounds, and assists just because we get a better edge on Underdog. And Shaden Sharp, I want to call out because he is also someone that's been heavy minutes. The issue is we don't know for sure that the minutes are going to be there. We are just betting on the minutes. If they are there, like these 4 should be able to hit. And so for me, I do feel pretty good about these 2 props because we are getting a slight half of a point edge there. We could also toss in Jalen McDaniels, who should get some heavy minutes as well. We don't have fantasy score there, so we'd probably just be doing higher for points, rebounds, and this. But that's all. Hopefully you guys have a happy Easter. I'm excited for today. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.